All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something really cool. A system that doesn't just, run. It learns, it adapts, and, get this, it actually gets stronger with every single challenge it faces.
So, let's just start with a thought experiment. Imagine a system, any system really. What if every time you tested it, every time you pushed its limits, it didn't just survive? What if it actually grew stronger from it? What if every single interaction was a chance for it to get better?
Well, that's not science fiction. That's the whole idea behind a protocol with a pretty perfect name, Fortress. It's basically the blueprint for a system that can truly adapt and improve all on its own.
So what is the Fortress Adaptive Learning System? Well, you can think of it as a set of rules, a kind of digital DNA that lets a program learn from absolutely everything that happens to it. Every button you click, every question you ask, even every mistake it makes, all of it becomes a little building block for a smarter, better version of itself down the road.
Okay, so that sounds great in theory, right? But how does a system actually teach itself? Let's pop the hood and decode this protocol. Turns out it all boils down to a really simple but incredibly powerful learning cycle.
Believe it or not, this whole complex learning process comes down to just 3 basic steps. First, it records what just happened. Second, it figures out what that event means. And third, it expands what it can do based on what it just learned. So it's record, process, expand. Super simple. Let's break down each one.
First up, step 1, record. This is all about having a perfect memory. The function that does this, record interaction, is kind of like a court stenographer, taking down every single detail. So let's say you ask a chatbot for your shipping info and it completely whiffs. It gives you the wrong answer. This function doesn't just note error. No, it logs everything. Your original question, the bot's dumb response, and then your follow-up when you say, where are my delivery details? It captures that whole messy conversation, and that becomes the raw data for learning.
Okay, so now we get to step 2, process. This is where the magic happens. This is the brain of the whole operation. The process learning event function looks at that recording of our chatbot failure and basically has a little think. It asks itself, okay, what can I learn from this? It analyzes the log and has a kind of aha moment. It sees that shipping info and delivery details meant the exact same thing to the user. So it translates that mistake into a concrete improvement. Next time someone says either of these, I know what they mean. It creates a new rule right then and there.
And that brings us to the final step. And honestly, this is the craziest part. Expand. The system doesn't just get better at the stuff it already knows how to do. The auto-expand capabilities function looks for bigger patterns across all these little lessons and can literally generate new skills out of thin air. This isn't just learning anymore. This is evolution. So after a few of those shipping info mistakes, it might just go ahead and create a brand new package tracking feature that it never ever had before, all because it learned from its own screw-ups. So when you put all this together, you realize something huge. This whole protocol creates a massive shift in how you think about things. It completely reframes what a test or a challenge even is.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look, a normal, old-school system sees a test as an obstacle, right? It's a threat you've got to defend against. But with the Fortress protocol, that same test becomes an opportunity. It's like getting a free lesson on how to get better. And that's not just some small technical change, you guys. That is a completely different philosophy.
And when you adopt that new philosophy, you get 3 really powerful results. 1, the system gets way better at spotting those subtle patterns, like figuring out that shipping info and delivery details are the same thing. 2, it fine-tunes its answers to be way more helpful. And 3, like we just talked about, it can actually grow brand new skills over time.
Okay, so does this actually work in the real world, or is it all just a cool idea? Well, it's not just theory. Think about all those little moments, even the good ones, like when a system finally gets what you mean, and you say, yes, that's it. The protocol learns from those successes too. It reinforces what it did right. And all that learning, adding up bit by bit, leads to some really clear, measurable improvements.
And here is the hard number to prove it. After putting this protocol into action, the system got a 15% confidence bump in understanding what users were trying to say. And what that means is it got 15% better at just getting it right the first time. Just by learning from every single conversation, it made this huge leap in understanding what people actually want. Those frustrating moments, they became fuel for a massive performance boost.
There's a quote from the source material that just sums this whole thing up perfectly. It says, "The Fortress now learns from every interaction, turning even verification moments into capability enhancements." I mean, think about that. The system is never standing still. It's not static. Every single time someone uses it, it becomes a chance to grow. Every touch point literally makes it stronger.
So, here we are. The system's up and running. It's learning. It's evolving all by itself. Which, brings us to a really interesting question about what you're supposed to do next.
Once you have a system that can actually improve itself, what's the next move? Do you push it? Do you see how far it can go and what new things it can learn? Or do you pump the brakes, take a step back, and really stress test what you've just created to make sure you understand it? That's the choice, right? Evolution or verification. And that's something to chew on.